Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet.
Dr. McCoy, Mr. Scott, you heard it?
Jim. Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise.
Welcome to Greatest Trek, This Old Enterprise. It's a Star Trek podcast about new Star Trek that's going back for all the old stuff. Until new Star Trek comes back, I'm Ben Harrison.
I'm Adam Pranica. Primarily, we're also a mug podcast.
This is primarily a men's health program
that's right.
with a mug selection mechanic that occasionally does talk about Star Trek and make dick and fart jokes.
It's a hell of a combination.
Okay. I think it's important that the show is in the right category if one were to, for some reason, look for mug-related entertainment.
If you're in Apple Podcasts and you're like, all right, I've got my Manosphere podcast figured out. I've got my, daily news podcast figured out. I've got a comedy show or two.
Sure.
Oh, I need one that is picking mugs out.
No one's out there doing mugs. And I think that's a real engine to the whole thing, Ben.
Right.
We got to get out there and stake our claim to this micro genre.
It's like Shark Tank, you identify a problem that nobody has solved yet and you go solve it, and that's your business.
Yeah.
That's our business. Our business is mug selection. And business is good.
Our business today is recapping round one of Mug Draft 2025. The FODs have voted, and we are here to share the results of the first round, Ben.
Kind of astonishing how many votes we got. I did not really think anybody would give a shit or know what this was.
Oh, that was definitely what I thought you thought of this idea.
Dozens of people voted. Dozens. I was amazed.
Incredible amount of interest around all this, Ben. 2,931 total votes cast in round one. Round one, 19 total mugs, 9 matches, 10 mugs advancing. Let's go match by match, Ben, and recap all the action.
Wait, what do you mean 19 mugs? We both had 10 mugs, right?
Yeah, I think that's been a big part of the whole challenge of the thing. Is the agreement we had before starting that we'd both bring 10.
Yeah.
An agreement only one of us actually did.
Uh-huh.
When it came time to do it. It's okay, Rob has a solution to this.
Okay, but you're saying I failed to count to 10. Something I'm trying to teach a 3-year-old to do right now, and I can't do it, apparently.
Honestly, Ben, for the welfare of your children, I would lay off that task to someone else.
I'd pass that one to my elderly parents or something like that.
Daron's like, I'm this many, and it's like a crazy amount of fingers. No, it's not cute. It's actually tragic. Round one! Match one!
This was the London Podfest region of the matchups. You had an orange one with a chip in it. I had a blue one, no chip, perfect mug.
I gotta believe that is why Blue London Podcast Festival mug just crept by. 53% of the vote gets it into the next round. Orange mug defeated.
I'm shocked by this. Do you think that orange mug was defeated because people wanted orange mug? I'm trying to think of the game theory of how the voters cast their votes.
I think it's pretty simple. You show up to the game with a chip. You're compromised. This was the Orange Mugs flu game. Not all flu games turn out heroically for the player.
Only if you're the great one do they turn out heroically.
I know. And Orange Mug wasn't it.
No.
Blue Mug advances.
Okay. Put one in the win column for your boy Ben Harrison.
Round one. Match two.
Another 47% to 53% vote split here. This was between my Friendly Fire Diner mug and your Reverend Baby Billy mug.
Ta-da!
This was a matchup, just seeing it on paper, 2 great mugs. Going head-to-head on this, I thought Baby Billy was going to lose. I was scared that Baby Billy was going to lose. Baby Billy somehow summoned the heart of a champion here.
Right.
Ekes one out against the Friendly Fire Diner mug.
Which, we have to wonder, do people just want the mugs that they're not voting for?
This was the round that tallied the most total votes.
I guess the other thing to think about, though, is that you could just go to the Goodwill in South Seattle to get one.
Yeah.
Of the Friendly Fire mug. The Baby Billy mug you might scour eBay and not find one.
No one's gonna dump this out back of a Goodwill that's closed in the middle of the night.
The box getting rained on.
Yeah. Like a baby on the porch of the fire station? No way.
Yeah.
So anyway, Baby Billy advances. Friendly Fire Diner mug. Loser.
Big time loser.
Round 1. Match 3.
And we should say thank you to J.G. Hertzler for providing some voiceover for this section of Mug Draft.
Yeah.
Really cool how much the celebs have gotten involved in Mug Draft.
Very true.
I mean, it's taken the world by storm.
People want to be a part of something big.
It's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's a genuine phenomenon.
This one, a blowout, Ben. Not the biggest blowout of round 1. Match 3 pitted the Star Trek V mug against your Riker collection. And Riker collection basically put its leg over the Star Trek V mug and sat it down.
Yeah.
Utterly.
It was a dominant performance by Riker collection mug. Advances to the next round, 72% of the vote. Not surprising here. I think, Star Trek V, as much as it has become a fave of ours, we've toured a lot of movies. I think I've turned on a lot of the movies in having to watch them so many times for touring. Star Trek V kind of had the opposite effect. I have Stockholm Syndrome for Star Trek V at this point.
Round 1, match 4.
All right, if you watched Match 3 and saw that Riker collection mug perform, you might not be surprised at the results of this next matchup, but it's a little bit closer of a vote, interestingly.
Absolutely.
So you brought your Riker collection mug, an identical copy of the one that I brought to the competition, and I brought in this matchup the 7 of 9 mug, with the kind of artistic negative space rendition of 7 of 9.
Interesting how these two matchups differed because while the first match was a blowout against Star Trek V mug, this one far closer against 7 of 9, Riker Collection being the victor in both cases. I think this is just a case of, a sports team will play an opponent multiple times based on injuries or weather or whatever. It's not always going to be the same outcome.
Are you suspicious of the vote tabulation in any way that out of 5 matchups, 3 of them had 57 to 43% splits?
Not at all. Ben, the votes were tallied by the Mug Waterhouse Cooper Mug accounting firm. I have no choice but to trust them. As far as I know, this is all they do.
Yeah. Rob Adler showed up with the briefcase chained to his wrist with the results.
Imagine needing accounting help, and you make your choice based on the ones that count the votes for award shows. That's great.
Well, they also provide business services, whatever those are.
Yeah. Round 1, match 5.
This was the match in which one of your The Wire mugs, it was the It's All in the Game Yo mug, specifically, went up against my Janeway / Star Trek Prodigy mug.
The gift from Aaron Walke that he gave to you personally. He said, Ben, I'd really appreciate it, as a supporter of the show, if you would enjoy this mug from me.
He did.
From me and also everyone involved in Prodigy.
And much like its impending departure from Netflix, I felt that this mug might have an impending departure from my house. This one also a little bit juiced and maybe lends some credence to the idea that people voted for the mugs that they didn't want, because this one does have a semi-falling apart 1970s Cylon action figure in it And that will go with the mug to the person who gets it, because that mug lost. The It's All in the Game Yo mug was the winner of this matchup. Another 57% to 43% vote.
Incredible. The wire moves on. Round 1, match 6. Janeway Prodigy makes a reappearance, this time on my side.
Uh-huh.
We each had one of these. This one, absolute domination. Not the biggest domination in the first round, just barely, but 81% to 19% beating the Polestar mug. Not a lot of enthusiasm for the Polestar mug.
These people don't like performance-tuned Volvos is the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that is not an aspect to this podcast under, like, category, subcategory, phylum, genus. Like, we don't ever eventually get to performance-tuned electric automobiles.
I think I could have made the case for it, that it's like gender-affirming care for men, and in that way, men's health. To
Go on.
To have a Volvo that you can, if you squint, it seems a little bit cool that you have the Volvo.
I don't get it. Round 1, match 7.
This was the other wire mug.
And this one, to me, feels like an upset. I was very surprised by this, the result.
Yeah. This was your Bubbles Depot wire mug, the shopping cart full of white t-shirts and other sundries that young hoppers around the depressed parts of Baltimore would happily purchase off of one of their own customers, depicted on this mug, up against the DS9 Bajor Sector mug that I brought to the game. And a very weird mug, because I don't think it bears any resemblance to anything that was ever on screen in DS9, because they always drank out of those Ractagino commuter mugs.
Absolutely whooped the wire mug.
Yeah.
Just up and down the court. 72% to 28%. Dominant showing by the Bajor Sector mug. Your mug, Ben. Amazing.
Moving on.
Round 1, match 8.
Okay, so we had the Morn's Hammer mug, which was a really cool custom one-of-one mug that kind of resembles the Arm & Hammer logo, and has been on stage with us.
Yeah.
Multiple shows.
A gift. A mug that I loved. I still love it. It's great.
Versus the Star Trek Haircast 2017 mug. An OG fan creation. This was created long before us opening up stuff sent in by the Friends of DeSoto was even really a regular segment on the show, I think.
Yeah.
And a rare and unique mug in its own right, but not rare or unique enough to put up any kind of a fight against that Morn's Hammer mug.
Total domination. Just whooped was the Haircast mug. Denied from the second round.
82% dominant performance by the Morn's Hammer mug.
Round 1, match 9. Then in our final round, this is sort of a Royal Rumble format here, pitting 2 of my mugs against 1 of yours. My mugs being This Old Enterprise and Uxbridge House. 2 mugs I want to say that I feel like would do very well in singles competition, going up against I love Rob for this. The reason we did this is because I brought 10 mugs and you brought 9, and so he punishes you by pitting these 2 great mugs against a mug that said, I did nothing wrong. Incredible subtext.
The International Mug Draft Association ruling stipulated that my mug would compete against your last 2 mugs.
Yeah.
And the top 2 would advance. So my mug did have a chance to get in, but with only 18% of the vote, it could not stand up to the 23% of the vote that the This Old Enterprise mug got, or the 59% of the vote that the Uxbridge House mug got. And I have a bit of a scandalous piece of news here, Adam.
Oh no.
I was in here trying to figure out what the fuck happened, why I only had 9 mugs when we did our first mug draft episode.
Yeah.
And I figured it out. My Uxbridge House mug was meant to compete, but it was on my desk full of pens, and when I looked around my office, I did not register this as a mug in fair play competition.
Wow.
Because it was full of pens and therefore part of the landscape of my desk to my enfeebled, sleep-deprived brain.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Full of pens that I've been using to make some of the delightful merch on podshop.biz.
Incredible story, Ben. Nevertheless, I did nothing wrong, soundly defeated by 2 mugs, 2-on-1, which means our finalists are the Blue London Pod mug, yours, the Baby Billy Bible Bonkers mug, mine, the Riker collection that you brought, the Riker collection that I brought, the It's All in the Game Yo Wire mug that I brought, the Janeway Prodigy mug that I brought, the Morn's Hammer mug that I brought, the Bajor Sector mug that you brought, and then finally This Old Enterprise and Uxbridge House. Both of those were my mugs. Advancing to round 2, which means 9 mugs are going to the FODs.
Yeah.
Those being the losers we talked about earlier. Look, I need to say this. There are 2 more rounds of voting. The next round of voting is today. The episode that you're listening to, the day that it drops, this episode, is the day that you vote. So get in there, get on Instagram, Greatest Trek on Instagram, get your votes in. We don't want any funny business in the ballots, okay?
Yeah.
No hanging chads. Except for those who are so upset about the results of Mug Draft.
Can you clarify, is it only on the day and date of this episode's release that people have to vote?
It's true. I need to amp up the urgency with this because our production schedule stipulates today is the day you vote for round 2. Round 3 will be taking place afterward.
Right. It has to.
So this is going to be a battle royale round. 8 mugs compete. The top mug advances to round 3 on Saturday with the top 2 seeds, and that is the winner-take-all round. It's perfectly understandable to you and me, as I'm sure it is to all the FODs out there. The point is, go to Instagram and the Greatest Trek account to get your votes in as soon as possible. Today.
And I just want to make a personal appeal. I think anybody listening easily tabulated the finalists and realized that Adam walked 7 mugs into the finals and I walked merely 3. A dominant performance by Adam in this first round. I mean, I appreciate it. I'm clearing out a lot of cabinet real estate.
Yeah.
So in that sense, a huge success for me.
Yeah. You got what you wanted.
Listen, I have some pride on the line here. I'm feeling a little bit hurt by some of the choices that some FODs out there are making. And I just want to say I have good mugs and some of my mugs should advance.
I think you could probably admit this. But when I went into this, like any form of gambling for me, I want to bet enough to where I can feel something. Many of these mugs are mugs that I cared about. I wanted them to win. I brought strong mugs to Mug Draft. I'm just going to say it, Ben. I think you wanted to get rid of a lot of mugs here. And I think that's why we got the result that we did in round 1. Everything could change in round 2, though.
I don't love the accusation. I will say that I did withhold 1 mug that felt too special to me, and that is my Star Trek 6 teacup that sits at the captain's station on the Excelsior.
Why in God's name would you want that bucket of booze?
We'd have to ask the commish. It might not have been permitted as a teacup and not a mug.
Yeah, it felt like an edge case.
Yeah.
But you could put coffee in it, you know? Like, at what point does it stop being a cup and become a mug? That's a question for the metaphysicists out there.
Also, a metaphysical point to be made here, Ben. Yet another classic Greatest Trek episode we're going back into the vault for. An episode of Greatest Discovery where we drove the pod into a classic original series episode, The Menagerie Part 1. One of the greats.
One of the greats.
One of the great and most notable TOS episodes ever. I think you can hear that in our recap.
One thing we talk about a lot on Greatest Trek as we're going through those old scientist episodes is that first time on Trek feeling when you
Yeah.
see a thing that became an iconic trope of Star Trek for the first time. And I think the efficiency, the dollar consciousness of production of this episode is very exciting to see. So let's get into it, Adam.
All right, Ben, without further ado, it's original series Star Trek, Season 1, Episode 12. It's called The Menagerie, Part 1.
NTC 1701. No bloody A, B, C, or D.
This is a hijack episode. It's also an episode that kind of it tells a lot of its tale through stuff we've already seen.
It's a real crew people watch the episode, which we have savaged earlier.
And they kind of like more than any other episode like that kind of drag that as a concept within the episode.
Yeah. They comment on it, which is great.
Yeah.
Welcome to Starbase 11, Captain.
We open up at a starbase, and this is a real fun painted cyc depicting a very futuristic city with like a planet with rings that seems way too close in the sky. And
yeah, it's a real end of Hunt for Red October sense of proximity here.
Yeah. The city looks very painted on, but like the previous episode we reviewed, I like the effort and I like the sense of place and color that this gives, and I feel like a comparable TNG episode, this would just be like a courtyard.
It's effect context, right? Like, I think one of the reasons why we like the effects in the last few TOS episodes we've seen is because it is like in keeping with the sensibility and the ability of its time.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why we're so savage against more modern poor effects work is because, sort of like using that example at the end of Hunt for Red October, you can make that effect good in its time, and they chose not to do it.
Yep.
Fun mystery is kicked off right away. The entrepreneur has been recalled to Starbase 11, and it's one of those things where Kirk arrives on planet and he's like, "Hey, so we got your message. What's up?" He just sort of claps his hands together and rubs them back and forth, like, "We're ready for whatever you sent out for us for." And the greeter there is like, "We don't know what you're talking about." Miss Piper, yeah, who right away is into Kirk.
She's sort of the attaché to the Commodore, and I felt like the direction in this scene was particularly weak because I don't know, it's like one of these like weird 60s scenes where there is obviously a misunderstanding, but nobody seems to be able to just come out and say like, "Wait, what?" Like when she says, "I'm curious why you're here," he like turns to his men like, "This idiot woman." Like that's the look on his face. Oh,
interesting. I never read it as like a gendered slap.
Oh, I totally did. And then when she walks away, he just smirks at her. Like I fucking hated Kirk the second he walked into this episode.
Wow. I didn't get that at all. It might have been because I was a little distracted by like straight up gauze lens anytime they were shooting Miss Piper. Like they were giving her the beauty blur in a way that no other character was getting.
Yeah, well, you don't need to give beauty blur to men because men are not beautiful, Adam.
Right.
Though these men, I would say, kind of are.
Well, we meet the Commodore, and they continue to argue about where this message came from. And then the conversation pivots toward a Captain Pike and what happened to him.
The Commodore's like, "You ain't been reading on the blogs?"
Yeah.
People have been chattering about Pike for months.
At this moment in time, your Star Trek viewer would not know who this is.
So I saw something that the Cage got aired on NBC maybe once. So
really?
Maybe you're very lucky you've seen it, but maybe like just some affiliates or something.
I think this episode is more satisfying if you had never heard of him, because the reveal is shocking and it's grotesque in a way that, like, you see you see clip show Star Trek, and they show you Captain Pike in the wheelchair, and you see the prosthetic face, and it's almost camp. But in the context of this episode, there is nothing fun about seeing him or experiencing what he's gone through via the story that Commodore Mendez tells. It's just not great.
They walk out of Mendez's office and up to the medical area, and this is the ICA, the intensive care area. Mm-hmm. And the rare Star Trek location that has hinges on the doors.
Right.
This door swings open
and it swings in, so Pike can't leave his room. It's so fucked. They didn't even lock the door.
Yeah. Pike swivels around. Very low quality loaf. This is one thing that is, it feels a little bit like a dunk to compare it to what was shown in Discovery, which was so like they did some prosthetic makeup and then enhanced it digitally to make him look extra melty. This is just daubed on foundation makeup, it looks like.
There's a choice that's made here by Jeffrey Hunter that I think is really interesting, which is he is always mouth open.
Yeah.
And there's something about that makes him look like he's in even more pain than if he had just sustained these burns and he was just confined to the wheelchair.
He's also not letting his confinement limit his performance, at least from his eyes standpoint. Like,
right.
He is doing 0 facial expression and 1,000% eyes expressions.
Yeah. The story with Pike is that he was on board a cadet vessel that had an accident, and he was exposed to delta rays. This is the vision of the future that we got in Star Trek Discovery. We saw this.
Yeah.
Previously, and then we've seen the consequence both in that episode and here. It looks like it was really painful. Like when you combine those two stories, you get the full vision of the thing.
The disco story is a retcon that he had foreknowledge of this befalling him, but one thing I really wished for in this story was some sense of resignment to this fate. It seems insane that they don't have the medical technology to help him communicate it any more than the 1 blink for yes, 2 blinks for no, because what everybody's saying is that his mind is all there. He's not diminished mentally in any way. It's just that his body is totally fucked up.
This is what's referred to in modern medicine as being locked in.
Right.
And it's no less horrible seeming in a 60s television show than it is now. It's tough. And you know what's interesting about this episode is like there's a scene where Kirk and McCoy talk about Pike together, and there's a real sense of tragedy, especially like from the medical professional in the room. Like McCoy is really feeling awful about how little there is to do for him.
Yeah.
It's an argument that's almost tinged with regret that he didn't die. Did you feel that? Like, I wonder to what degree McCoy feels a country doctor sensibility of there's such an absence of mercy to this.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I was trying to unspool, is that you could switch the titles, right? Like you call this episode The Cage,
right,
and it would make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I don't think this episode reveals the answer to this, like who sent the message, like how did Spock make the leap to coming, because Pike basically kind of tells everybody to fuck off via the medium of blinking yellow lights, and Spock asks if he can stick around and gets a yes. And then Spock is saying, like, can we do this thing? What do you want me to do? You know why I'm here. And Pike is like against what Spock's plan is.
Right.
Despite the obscurity of that to us. Like, they both know what they're talking about.
Pike's flashes are 2 flashes equal no, and 1 flash equals yes. And he's just knowing over and over again. Or yesing, depending on the code of the pace of the flashes.
Right. So Spock commits himself to mutiny, essentially, and we go to title sequence. There is a lot of angry argument between Kirk and Commodore Mendez about like why the Enterprise is even there. There's no evidence of this transmission ever having been sent, but Kirk is like, well, Spock told me it was sent, and Spock doesn't talk shit. That's as good as the truth as far as I'm concerned. I don't second guess him. He's a Vulcan. He's not going to lie about something like that.
The episode does a really good job of beginning in one way and then continuing in another. Like I was surprised that they were still talking about where the message came from because I was so distracted by Pike circumstances, you know?
Right. They radioed down to some guy in like in the communications department who is another one of these very blue collar seeming TOS guys, and they're like, So did we send this transmission? And he's like, nope, we've explored all possibilities. And they say, explore all of the impossible ways we could have sent it. And the guy's like, all right. And very dutifully heads off. And in walks Spock, who starts sneaking around this room, neck pinches another worker, and starts monkeying with the computers.
He is especially stealthy for a man wearing boots on a concrete floor. This guy does not see him coming. And this guy actually gets in a couple of good punches. And I feel like Leonard Nimoy, as a stunt person, is great here. The punches look like they land.
Oh, yeah, when the other guy comes back?
Yeah.
Because, like, at that point, there's some kind of timing to this. Like Spock is spoofing Captain Kirk's orders up to the Enterprise.
Right.
And so he needs those to kind of come in at a plausible pace and rate. And they have like a fight while Spock is trying to work the knobs and switches on the computer.
Yeah.
I love how 1960s these computers look. It's like the original Italian Job or something.
They know what a computer is to them in the 60s, and they sort of only have a vision for what it could be a few years into the future.
Right.
It's great. Like big colored discs and stuff.
I think that almost all sci-fi is subject to this. Like one of my favorite sci-fi things in the last several years is that Aliens video game for PlayStation, which was set like in the same time period as Alien, the first film.
You're talking about Alien Isolation, the game?
Alien Isolation, yeah. Like everything is like on tape and super analog feeling, and like every computer you interact with is like a huge wall of switches, and everything is low res and shitty, and you know there are no flat panel screens anywhere in the game. It's all CRTs and VHS.
And the scale of this computer room too is great. It's like 80s Cray computer size. Situation in there. You know, those old boards full of holes that like old-timey telephone operators would connect people with and stuff. Yeah. It's great. So despite a couple of good punches by this computer tech, he's ultimately pinched into submission. And what happens from here is we cross-cut back and forth between Spock's mission and Admiral Mendez explaining Captain Pike's backstory. He does this first by showing Kirk the Metallica music video for One, and then he puts like the Federation file on Talos 4 on the desk, and then opens it for Kirk to read. The way the Federation writes reports is pretty hilarious. It summarizes it down to a page. Like if it can't be, an old boss of mine back in my corporate communication days said that if it can't be put in a trifold brochure, it can't be said at all. And there's like an efficiency in the medium here that I think is great. Just like 16-point font, double spaced. One page. This is the report on Talos 4. If you read that report, you're led to believe that the only two people that were ever anywhere near Talos 4 are Pike and Spock. Spock is referred to in this report and by the Commodore at all times as half Vulcan science officer Spock. Yeah. Which, like, racially dunks on him.
Right.
They don't call Kirk like fully human Captain Kirk.
No.
It's awful.
It's not half human, Science Officer Spock.
Right.
Yeah.
Crucially.
Octoroon Spock.
Yeah.
It's very problematic, but they've come a long way by the time the films roll around, I guess.
Yeah.
We've heard of Starfleet General Order number 1, but this report refers to Starfleet General Order number 7, which is that nobody's allowed to go to Talos 4, and it is the only thing still in the rules in the Federation that you can be put to death for violating. The only thing that the death penalty still exists for is going to Talos 4.
That is incredible. The Federation has the death penalty.
Yeah, but just for this one thing.
Wow.
We just watched that episode. Did anything in that episode make the case for this being a death penalty level offense? I guess because you're like dooming future generations to slavery if you let them fall into the hands of the Talosians?
I guess so.
Wow. There must be so many fucking like subreddits about speculating what's going on at Talos 4.
You remember that TNG episode where an alien revealed itself to Picard's Enterprise and then they wiped the memory of them and then just the mystery became so tantalizing that they couldn't help but like redo it over and over again?
Yeah.
I feel like by making this an executable offense, you're doing nothing but make Talos 4 attractive to people.
Yeah, you're Streisand-Effecting the planet.
Right.
Commodore! Captain Pike, he's gone!
We don't get much time with this file because when Miss Piper looks over at the monitor, she notices that Pike is gone. And then a second later, they realize so is the Enterprise. And then we get Kirk-ized commercial bit.
Very fun Kirk-ized commercial.
Commodore Mendez is like, why don't you blow in a hail to fully black communications officer Uhura? Jesus, Commodore Mendez.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be this way.
Everybody that isn't a white man has to get hyphenated? What the hell?
Yeah, pretty rough. So McCoy is on the Enterprise. He was ordered back during that conversation he had with Kirk earlier.
Yeah, he's had some kind of interesting moments in this episode. Like he is making the argument to Kirk, which like it doesn't really need to be said to Kirk, except for maybe for the audience's benefit. But he keeps saying to Kirk like Spock is not a liar. He would never lie. He's a Vulcan. Like. It's such an interesting part of McCoy, who is a total Spock skeptic in most things, that he really believes in the kind of Vulcan exceptionalism of Spock at the same time.
Yeah, because those things don't need to be false for him to hate and make fun of Spock the way that McCoy does all the time. Like, these are the things that he finds loathsome about Spock.
Right.
And he's just stating them as a reason for Spock to be innocent of what people are accusing him of.
Those things established, McCoy like gets up on the bridge while Spock is announcing to the crew that he's been given temporary command of the ship and that they're off to a destination that they're not going to disclose, and nobody should ask any questions or make any inquiries. And Kirk is like on medical leave, and McCoy's like, what the fuck is happening here?
Kind of a lot happens in less than 60 seconds here.
Yeah.
Spock plays a recording for McCoy ordering him to care for Pike as he's on board. So this sort of like squirrels him away.
Yeah, it's Kirk saying like, make sure he's comfortable, but don't ask too many questions.
It turns out that a shuttlecraft has been scrambled to pursue the entrepreneur, and on board it's Kirk and Mendez giving chase.
Yeah, it's a very Hunt for Red October moment, right? Because they're pushing past the fuel reserves. They're not saving anything for the swim home.
Right.
And this kind of puts Spock in a tight spot because he's doing something that is a death penalty level offense, but he doesn't want his captain and a Commodore to buy the farm just because they gave pursuit. So
Kirk really checkmates Spock here by bringing the Commodore along, because in a needs of the many kind of math scenario, 2 is greater than 1. And if Spock's original mission was to care for Pike, he now has to care more for the Commodore and Kirk.
And so, like, before McCoy is willing to come out and say it, Spock is like, all right, get some security guys up here, like, stop the ship, beam the captain and the Commodore aboard, put the shuttle in the cargo bay. I need to be taken into custody because I have done a mutiny.
You know, of all people to submit to, Spock has to submit to McCoy. And McCoy is like, McCoy's like, what should I do? And Spock's like, you should confine me to quarters. And McCoy's like, okay, that's what I'm doing. It's great. Like, McCoy is so blown away by a circumstance that he is totally rendered mute.
He's kind of Troy in Disaster, right? Like,
yeah.
Like suddenly in charge in a way that is more than he anticipated when he got out of bed that morning.
Yeah. So Kirk and Mendez are beamed aboard the ship, and one of my favorite shots in this episode, Ben, is Mendez stepping into focus off of the transporter pad. Did you get this?
I loved that shot.
Man, you just never see that anymore.
It's a very, like, I mean, you see it in, like, sort of artsy contemporary film.
Yeah.
But you don't see it in a Star Trek TV show.
Yeah, I really love that shot.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's super blurry in the background. He's just like a little bit out, and then he steps into sharp, and it's nice. It's a good moment.
It really is.
Spock, this bag does not contain platinum, silver, or gold. I must find it.
Hi, sir. I'm Captain James C. Kirk.
Stand by the fire.
The back half of this episode is going to be a courtroom drama en route to Talos, because the computer is locked in and it's like a data level of encryption that Spock has applied to the program that the ship is running. Like, nobody can crack it. Nobody can wrench control back from the ship and prevent them from going to Talos.
Spock is almost aggressively uninterested in defending himself here. Like, if Kirk and the Commodore are trying to put him in the back of a police cruiser, Spock is like bashing his head against the frame of the car on his way in. Like, he is not interested in a hearing. He wants to skip straight to court-martial. And you know what that means, Ben. You got to put on the finery and strap on the Trivial Pursuit pieces.
They have some really jazzy dress uniforms in this era.
Looking good.
And another example of some of the people were asked to wear their dress uniforms to the courtroom, and others were, for inscrutable reasons, not.
Yeah. Scotty maybe just has never been decorated.
Montgomery Scott went into engineering so he wouldn't have to wear a dress uniform, laddie.
I love this whole, like, well, what are we going to do with all this time? I mean, I guess we could have the court-martial now.
We could, what do you say we watch an episode of Star Trek?
This is amazing. And this is what you were alluding to in the beginning of the episode, Ben. Spock presents the video evidence, and then they almost immediately stop it. They're like, we aren't going to watch a fucking episode of Star Trek right now, aren't we? Spock's like, well, you asked me basically to show you an episode, and here I am.
And it literally is the episode. I don't know if did you watch this on Netflix or...
I did.
So they show that, I mean, we commented on how crappy the optical effect is in the opening shot of the cage on Netflix. And yet in this, they've cleaned it up and redone it as a CG shot and actually fixed the problem of the camera angle of the bridge being wrong for the effect that they were going for.
I noticed the same thing.
If you watch it on Amazon, it's it's all the original model stuff. Like, it's not the polished up fancy version. I'm not sure if it's HD or not, but
wow.
But yeah, like you can watch both versions pretty easily if you have Prime and Netflix.
It looks really good. I have to admit, really liking watching original series Star Trek in the remaster. It's nice.
Yeah, I think the remaster is good. I think it generally adds to it. And I think that like the aesthetics of the CG are kind of fun, and I like that they resisted the temptation to try and kind of bring it forward in time at all.
Yeah.
But like the shuttlecraft, if you watch the original version, doesn't have like Picasso written in cursive on the front of it. It's just it's a very low rent model, but
it's also like asymmetrically melty and squished together, and like there's an eyeball on the side of it.
But it's generally the same shape.
Right. Yeah.
It's an abstract expressionist version of that shape, but
Commodore Mendez might be watching the unmastered version because he's complaining about this the entire time.
Yeah, the case is made like we don't film our missions like this. We don't have like edited like camera fly-ins from exterior to interior of the ship.
Kirk doesn't say too much at this moment because I think he's horrified. He's like, have people been rolling tape on me the entire time? Oh my God.
But yeah, the eventually consent to just watching this, and it is literally like the first 20-ish minutes of the cage that they show fairly unbroken.
Yeah.
It's like up to the moment where Pike is abducted and they shoot lasers at the elevator.
Right. This is interrupted briefly by Uhura saying that they have received a communique saying that because they're receiving communications from Talos 4 and have been the entire time, that Kirk has now been relieved of command. Like the ship from the beginning of the episode until now has been receiving transmissions from Talos 4. And as we know from that one-page report, any communication with Talos 4 is grounds for severe punishment.
Right. And the episode clips that they've been watching were that. This
would seem to indicate that the Talosians have been communicating with Spock the entire time. And
yeah, I guess so.
And they were the inciting incident to make this thing happen, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the answer. I didn't put it together when I was watching this, but
if that's true though, then there would be like the idea of punishing anyone for communicating with the Talosians is great and everything, but there's no prevention of the Talosians communicating with you.
Right. It's an unfair standard to I mean, I don't know. I guess if somebody hails you and you start receiving the transmission, maybe Spock like opened the door to it by like when you get a text message from somebody for the first time, it gives you the option to report it as spam.
It's like those countries that criminalize sex work, but only against the John, right?
Right.
Like you cannot be a Federation John and solicit the Talosians, but they can solicit you.
I guess so.
What were we watching?
This is bad, Ben, because not only is Spock up for the death penalty, but Kirk's career is ruined as well.
Yeah, and Pike's life, right?
Yeah.
So the episode ends with Spock insisting that Kirk sit back down and watch the rest of the episode, and Kirk refusing, and he gets a chant going. The assembled crowd, lock him up, lock him up, lock him up.
This is the only original series episode that's a two-parter, Ben. So this is the original Fire from Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
To be concluded next week is the title on screen, which is a real mouthful compared to the way most television does it.
It's crazy. In syndication, you get no guarantee. Like, they couldn't say that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fun.
Real roll of the dice.
I think we can agree that we like the ending, but did you like the episode, Ben?
Captain James T. Kirk, I believe, as Captain Prize.
I don't believe in the note of this scenario.
I did. I think that it's a pretty fun and creative idea for like, hey, we have this whole episode that like almost nobody has seen. What if we just why don't we save a little bit of money this week and next and make a bottle episode where we just use that footage that we already spent a ton of money on shooting.
Funny story about that, Ben, is that they were not going to make the season budget-wise. And it was creative thinking by Gene Roddenberry that said, I've got this episode, I'm going to make it into 2. And he saved the season by making what he called an envelope episode. Like he constructed bookends to the cage in such a way that got value for what had already been shot.
Wow.
And so he was able to get a full season run because he sort of Franken-episoded the cage.
How fucking lucky were they that Spock made it from pilot to series?
Right?
Because
Yeah.
if Spock's not there, you don't have anything.
It's true.
And like the character stuff established about Spock at this point can be used in your favor to break this story.
Yeah.
Did you like the episode, Adam?
I really did. I was trying to scrutinize it in the way that's sort of the reason why we're watching this episode. Does this help me understand Pike? Does this help me like him more or less? And I think it's too early to answer either of those questions.
The cage takes place before we meet Pike in Discovery, but this takes place after, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to situate that episode in this story arc, I think.
Right. And like what you're saying is the Menagerie Part 1 is to the cage as that Star Trek Discovery episode on Talos is to this original series episode. They're both looking backward.
Yeah.
In an interesting way.
I think I'm going to rewatch that Talos episode before I watch the second part of the Menagerie.
It made me want to do the same. I really like the episode. It would take a very bad part 2 for me to dislike part 1. One thought that came to mind as I was watching Menagerie Part 1 that I didn't consider during The Cage or Star Trek Discovery was the sadness of Talosian life. And by that I mean, they don't do anything to create their own memories.
Right.
They just live in solitude in a cave and they live to consume other people's memories. That's it. And how much of a tragedy it is.
What we should do is put 1 million episodes of HGTV shows in a space probe and shoot it to Talos. Let them watch a bunch of people renovate their houses and then announce that they have a great new space to make new memories and let that inspire them, Great
idea.
Go for an open concept where, you can see the kids from the kitchen out there in the living room and make some new memories. Make new memories, guys. You don't have to do everything with everybody else's memories.
Well, I'm just getting a message here, Ben. It's from Starfleet HQ. You've been sentenced to death.
For doing any communication one way or the other with Talos?
Yeah, most unfortunate.
Damn.
Well, Ben, one communication that is not punishable by death is via the Priority 1 message. What do you say we check to see if we have any?
Let's see if we're dead or not.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Couple of Priority 1 messages here. The first one is of a promotional nature. It's like this. Fellow FODs still mourning the loss of Lower Decks may take solace in the bosom of another sci-fi comedy. Jump Leads, a scripted podcast following 2 cadets lost in the multiverse trying to get home. Described by listeners as a cross between Doctor Who, Sliders, and Lower Decks, Season 2 features a guest cast including Dino Andrade of Star Trek Online, Christina M. Medina of Very Short Treks, and Bonnie Gordon of Star Trek Prodigy. And FODs might recognize 2 familiar voices cameoing in Season 2, Episode 5. So subscribe to Jump Leads at audio.jumpleads.zone or find the show wherever you get your podcasts.
Pretty great. I love being a little cameo for a fun little project.
It was a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to listen to. I think folks will really enjoy Jump Leads if they enjoy this program.
Yeah.
And great voice cast, just good stuff all around.
Ben, we got a promotional message here from Peter of the Norse, LLC. Here's how that message goes. Looking for an app to help manage your chores, errands, and free time?
Yes.
Try Pencil Tin. Drag and drop for your best day. Pencil uses machine learning to continuously improve its suggestions to better fit your plans, to-do lists, and Reminder apps don't know that some things need to happen during a specific time. Pencilitine takes all of that and your existing appointments into account for a more productive day without being overwhelming. So here's the joke. Many different pronunciations will ideally send you to this website, Pencilitin, PENCILETIN.com. And that's also going to be available in the iOS store.
Okay. This actually sounds like something that would be useful to me. Getting my jumbled schedule under control would be something I would really appreciate. So, Pencilitin.
You got it.
Pencilitin.com.
Hey, listen, promotional P1 messages are a great way to support the production of our show. You can go to MaximumFun.org/Jumbotron, get a couple of yours in there. We'll read them. We'll give you a big shout out, and the greatest Trek bump goes a long way in supporting the production of our shows.
Sure does. Thanks so much.
I am James T. Kirk, the Enterprise.
Hey, Ben?
What's that, Adam?
Did you discover yourself a drunk Shimoda?
Incredible.
Drunk Shimoda! I gotta give it to Bones McCoy on this one. The whole scene on the bridge where he is just talking around the fact that Spock is very nakedly hijacking the ship, but like Bones keeps tiptoeing up to the line of saying it. I just found it was so funny, like that he just couldn't quite get there.
I almost gave my Shimoda to McCoy also, but for that A to B that happens when McCoy is like, is confinement to quarters enough? Because he's just sort of bewildered about his circumstances. And then Commodore Mendez slamming his nuts in the door by like almost immediately going like, whose idea was it to just confine him to quarters? What kind of idiot would do that?
Anyways, whoever it is, fire that guy.
But instead, my Shimoda is Chief Humble, and he's the computer operations guy working in the lab.
Oh, yeah.
The reason is because he just seemed like an editor to me. When Kirk communicates with him and he's like, check everything, check even the impossible to see if you can figure out if you can solve this mystery. That seemed so much like a client asking an editor for footage that doesn't exist, you know?
Yeah, and also, like, him just being kind of like complacently agreeing to a totally outrageous request is something that I feel like you just get into the habit of badly as an editor. Sure.
You just want to get off the phone at that point.
Yeah, you're like, hey, listen, I kind of designed my life around being alone in my edit bay most of the time, which is where I'm happiest, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah. Chief Humble is regretting not putting specifically how many revisions were in the contract. So he is in hell right now, and he's my Shimoda.
Boy, it's fun to tell a client that they've already gone over their revision quota.
Yeah. Oh, that's tough. Any further revisions?
Yeah, I'm going to start having to invoice you guys for those. Okay, Adam, one last segment on the show. A segment that did not exist when we first recorded about the Menagerie Part 1.
It's true.
But here it is. It's Warning Bois.
Prepare a buoy and launch it when ready.
Warning buoys.
An emergency buoy.
A warning buoy.
This is a Warning Bois on the Spotify comments section. This was over on our other smash hit podcast, The Greatest Generation, episode called Overdressed Caesar Voyager, Season 4, Episode 10. A user with the username eggplant emoji, hammer emoji, and with the avatar being a picture of Morn, said, "These guys make my day every single day in the back stacks, and this show still makes me giddy with happiness every time. Thank you guys so much." Well, Eggplant Hammer, we really appreciate your kind words. Thank you for the nice comment. And if you use a podcast app and want to leave a nice comment or a nice review, we sure appreciate that. We also appreciate folks that go out on the internet and recommend the show in a way that would, bring in a like-minded potential FOD and deter someone who would hate this and leave us a bad review.
You ever think about that? It's nice having a show that is, like, it's not just about a current event. Like, no one would ever go back and listen to the back catalog of. We have hundreds of episodes that are just as funny today as they were when they were recorded.
Funnier in some cases.
Yeah.
You know, some of those jokes have only matured, Adam.
Yeah. Just like us.
Like a fine wine.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to everyone listening. Wynde is going to tell you about next week in these credits that she is going to say right now. Bye-bye.
Greatest Trek is an Uxbridge Shimoda podcast on the Maximum Fun Network. It's hosted by Ben Harrison and Adam Pranica, and it's produced and edited by Wynde Priddy. Next week, it's a rebroadcast from July of 2019, The Menagerie Part 2. While Spock faces court-martial for kidnapping Captain Pike and hijacking the Enterprise, he further explains his actions with mysterious footage about Pike's captivity by the Talosians. Thanks to the members who contribute monthly at MaximumFun.org/join. We really appreciate your support. Thanks to Adam Ragusea for composing the theme music, and thanks to Rob Adler and Bill Tilley for working on the @GreatestTrek social media accounts that you can find and follow online. And be sure to use the hashtag #GreatestTrek when you post about the show. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to go vote in Mug Draft. We'll see you next week on Greatest Trek.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
directly
by you.